Hey guys! Welcome to Free Tutorial TV and Python tutorial for beginner. In the last video I have given you a brief introduction about threads and threads in Python, and in this video we will discuss about a module called try to model. Now if you remember, in the last video I have told you that threads module is considered as deprecated in Python 3, but if you want to use threads module in Python 3 we can still use trademark using our module called _ to threads module, and this is for backward compatibility. So I just wanted to give you a brief demo about threads module in Python 3 so you will have some threads module in Python 3. So let's get started. So first of all, in order to use threads module you'll need to import that, and then generally you will write thread. But in order to use the train module in Python 3 you need to use the _thread here. Okay, so threads module is not directly available, but it's available using this _threads module, and for printing and giving some delay to our functions we are going to import a module all the time. Now using threads module it's possible to use functions in separate threads. So we are going to create a function and then we are going to execute this function in separate threads. So let's define our functions. And I'm going to name my function as print_epoch, and if you don't know what is an epoch is the start of January 1st, 1970, and we are going to try to print the number of seconds from a epoch till now. And inside this function we are going to provide two arguments. First is the name of your thread. So I'm going to just write name of thread, and the second argument we are going to give is the delay. Okay, so this is your custom function. You can provide any name here and any number of arguments here. And now inside this function first of all I'm going to create counter. So I'm going to just write the count and I'm going to initialize this count with 0. Now inside this function what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop around, and inside the loop I'm going to provide some delay. So we will be able to see the trade execution. So let me just provide the while loop here, and we are going to just check whether the count is less than 3. And inside this value we are going to sleep for some time using that time model. So I'm going to just write time.sleep, and we are going to just pass this delay argument inside the sleep function. So I'm going to just try the delay here, which will be that delay in seconds. So for example, if I provide the delay all for 1, all or while you will sleep for 1 second now. After this we are going to increment counter. So I'm going to just write count and then the last equals 1, of which is going bin tremendous value of condo by 1. Now after this, in order to see whether our thread is working or not, we are going to print something. So let's print something using a print function. So what we want to print? So let's say we want to print the name of the thread, whatever name we will provide for the thread, and then I am going to just give some the data here. Let's say this is summer line, and then we are going to print that time since epoch. So in order to print time since epoch you will use this time module, and then we just need to use their time function inside that time or null. So using this print function we will know which thread is executed and at what time it's executed. So now we have a function. And now this function we want to execute inside that thread. So in order to execute this function inside the threads, first of all I'm going to use this threads model, and that is a special function inside this threads model. We just called us dod new thread function. So I'm going to use that function. So let's just call this function, which is tod_new_threads. Now if you hover over this function and when I press Ctrl on Windows or Command on Mac and then I hover over this function, you will be able to see the signature for this function. So this function takes 3 arguments. First argument is the function which we want to execute inside the threads. Second argument is args, which we provide to our function as tuple. Second argument we need to provide as tuple, and inside this tuple we will provide that number of argument which we want to provide to our function. And third argument is that kwargs option, and this kwarg is an optional dictionary for that keyword arguments. So let's provide the function name first. of or and our function name which you want to execute is print underscore block, and you need to remember that you need to provide this function name without any fantasies. Okay, so just provide the function name as the first argument. Second is the number of arguments. So we have provided 2 arguments for this print a block function, so we need to give these 2 arguments in the form of double. So first argument, let's say, is the name of the thread. So we are going to just say that this is the thread 1, which will be the name of this thread, and the second argument is the delay in seconds. So let's say I wanted to provide 1 second delay in the while loop, so it will sleep for 1 second. This delay we are providing in order to see that thread execution, because thread execution is so fast that it would be difficult to see the execution of threads without this delay. Now I told you that the code argument is the optional argument, so we will not provide the third argument to start a new thread. So this statement is going to create a new thread and it's going to execute this function inside this new thread. So now we only have one, so let's create the second thread, and to create the second thread you need to repeat this function. We just start new thread and then you need to give that name to your head. So I mean to give the name try to, and let's just change that daily. So here I am willing to provide a delay of 3 seconds to the thread 2. So now we have created 2 threads and this function will be executed in about that tribes. So let's see if this code works or not. So I'm going to just run the script, and you will see as soon as I run this script it exits without printing anything. And this is because it takes some time to be created and we need to bid for that thread creation. So we need to provide some mechanism to read for that thread creation. And this way we can provide in 2 ways. One is we can just provide the blank input function which waits for the input. So using this input function we will wait for some time until these threads are created, and now we will see if this works or not. So let's run this script once again and let's see what happens. So you can see now, you will be able to see these printed statements, and you will see that first of all 12 to 1 is executed, and then the third one is executed once again because we have provided only 1 second delay between the loop inside this thread. So thread 1 will be executed faster than thread 2. So first of all the third one is executed and the bulk time is printed. And once again the thread 1 is executed because the delay time is less, and then 22 is executed and a part time is printed here. And then the third one is executed once again. And at the end you will see that thread 2 is executed 2 times, because you can see that here you have the count limit which is less than 3. So let's try to increase this limit to 5 and let's see how many times this print statement is printed. So let's run the program once again and let's see what happens. So once again this thread 1 is executed 2 times, and then thread 2, and then thread 1 is executed 3 times once again, and then try to comes, and you can see the rest of the threads are executed then. So here you can see thread 1 is as good a 1 2 3 4 5 times, and thread 2 is executed also 5 times. So in this way you can start my table threads and exit different functions inside those threads. Now I told you there is another way of waiting, and this is by providing the while. So I'm going to just provide while 1, and inside this so while loop I'm going to wait for apple, so I'm going to just say pass, and this is an infinite loop which is like waiting. So I'm going to just close this first of all and then run this group once again. And then you will see the same effect which you have seen in the case of input function also. Now here one more thing to consider is the read on of this function. So if this function which you want to execute inside the thread returns successfully, that thread will silently exit, but banning your function dominate unexpectedly, then the unhandled exception will be thrown. And the stack trace of that exception will be printed on the terminal. So if this function throws, then stack trace will be printed, and this will be an unhandled exception. So in order to avoid this unhandled exception, you can also provide that try catch block here. So here you can provide try, and then I'm going to provide some space here and here also. And after this code I'm going to just write except, and inside the except you can provide any arrows. So you can print that this is an error. So inside this print function you can just read that this is an arrow or anything which you want to write inside this except block. You can write using the print function or whatever you want to do in order to handle this exception. You can do inside that except block. So let's run this script once again and let's change the delay here. So I'm going to provide the delay of 2 seconds, and here I'm going to provide the delay of, let's say, 4 seconds, and let's run this clip once again and the script runs and you can see up to 2 seconds. The third one, the print statement is executed, and then after a second try to print statement is executed. And this trial the execution you will be able to see in those intervals. So this is how you can use thread model in Python 3. I hope you have learned something new this time. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe the channel. Have a nice day. See you in next video.